Hi, this is Nori Standard, and you're at the Nori Standard YouTube channel. So we're going to talk about something that I learned during my years as a military officer, as an Army officer, and how to help you get that leadership mindset without going into the Army, spending 20 years as an Army officer, and without going to business school, because you learn that in business school as well. So we're going to talk about 4 topics, and I love these topics. They're close to my heart. And then I'm going to give you quick gems on how to be successful. It's very easy to be a successful leader, and how to do that, and how to do it with confidence. We're going to talk about leadership under pressure. We're going to talk about decision making. We're going to talk about the discipline versus motivation. And then we're going to talk about accountability when failure is not an option. And I love talking about this because, I think about the time that I spent as an Army officer, the time that I spent around the world leading troops, soldiers, civilians, people, the time that I cried myself to sleep when I made a mistake. And you can avoid all of the mistakes that I made because I'm giving you the quick version. You don't have to go through the same mistakes that I went through. So let's talk about leadership under pressure. Most Americans will never have to go through leadership under pressure. Leadership under pressure, well, I went to the Iraq War. That is leadership under pressure. I was in Iraq. I was responsible for all air operations on Balad. I had 90 people that worked for me. We had people that died, people that were killed. We had medevacs. We had human remains flying on the aircraft that I was responsible for. I worked in all this stuff. I worked in conjunction with the Air Force. You have leadership under pressure because you have goals to meet. You have stakeholders that you're responsible for making happy and keeping happy. You have things that you have to do and people that you're responsible for. Leadership under pressure is making the best decision with the information you have at the very moment. The way I function and make decisions, I try to gather as much information as I can to make the decision. However, usually when you're making a decision that's tight with timing and tight with resources, we call it the decision-making triangle. So you have 3 points of contention. Can you afford it? You have to decide the quality, and you have to decide time. And you don't get all 3. Which one are you going to choose? As an Army officer, I can say money is no object. It has to be quality, so I can't have time. So as a civilian, you have to decide which are you going to forego. Is it going to be time? Usually when you don't have any money, it takes a very long time. Is it going to be quality? Usually when you don't have a lot of money, you have a decrease in quality. And then the third one, you have to decide the speed. That is called a leadership triangle. And that makes it very easy to decide. So our next topic we'll talk about is decision making when your information is imperfect. So usually that is kind of a muscle memory kind of situation. One thing I can say about the things that I've done in my life, when I am making a decision and I am in that decision-making mode, I am laser focused on gathering the information, getting primary source data, understanding the problem, understanding the situation, and then making the decision. And I don't really go back and regret it because you have done the best that you can with the resources that you have. Make the decision and move on. The one thing that you cannot do is not make a decision. If you don't make a decision, that just prolongs the pain. So make a decision and then move on. So the next thing we'll talk about, number 3, we'll talk about discipline versus motivation. They seem similar, but they are very different. Discipline is you get up every morning at 5 o'clock. You know what you're going to do. You know you need to lose weight. You know you need to eat right. You know you need to do certain things to get to a certain goal. That is discipline. But motivation is your why. What motivates you? Most people need a why. I am motivated by reaching my goals. I'm motivated by being successful. I'm motivated by making my grandparents proud, making my family proud. But what happens is once you have discipline, that really gives you motivation. That is the recipe for success. Discipline plus motivation equals success. So next we'll talk about the 4th topic we'll talk about accountability. You have to have accountability. There has to be someone that's responsible. So when I was a commander, one thing I knew for sure is that all air operations in the city of Balad, Iraq was Captain Stander's responsibility, period. I'll tell you a story. I had a general officer, the C-130 aircraft, left him on the airfield. And understand, you know, you have someone that is responsible for the Atlanta airport and you have flights going out every day. And if a flight goes out and leaves Tyler Perry, that executive at the airport would not know. So this general officer, who is the highest rank in the Army, the aircraft left him because his aide called the airport, did not notify me, called the airport, said we're coming on their way. They say, okay, thanks for the call. So the aircraft lands, download the people, we download the cargo, then we upload the cargo, upload the people, and then we refuel the aircraft because the aircraft can only weigh a certain amount. So once they refueled, they took off. And so I get to my office and the general officer, General Terry, his name was General Terry, went ballistic on me and cursed me out. And I had no idea he was even scheduled for that aircraft. I had no idea that he was even contemplating, because you know the general's aide will look at the flight schedule and say, okay, we'll take this flight. But if you don't notify anyone, no one will know. But I allowed the general to cuss me out. It was terrible. He cursed me out. After he cursed me out, I told his aide, this is the last time I'm taking responsibility for your lack of action. He's like, oh, Captain Stander, thank you so much. And so me and the Air Force, we were so angry that we were being held responsible for something that was not our fault. But because I was the commander of the all air operations in Balad, I took accountability. My boss was very angry with me, but I told my boss that would happen. He was like, okay, Natasha, taking accountability really allows you to be responsible for everything within your business. And most business owners, we start off that way. We do everything in our business. We are accountable, we are responsible, and it's a good thing to take responsibility for everything in your business, because when your business grows, you'll know and understand why you're growing, how you're growing, where you're going, because you have laid out that plan. Leadership can be easy, leadership can be fun, and hey, you women, you can be great leaders too. It's not just the men that are great leaders. Subscribe to our channel. We have many more gems coming. I look forward to talking to you in the future. Thank you.